meeting. We started off with introductions. I'm Jim Parks, interim president, chairman, resident of Blue River.
I'm Anthony Abel, vice president or interim board member.
Melanie Stanley, current board member and resident.
Shannon Goodpasture Lair, interim treasurer and secretary and resident. So,
Terry Herndon, board member, resident.
And we have some guests. You,
Doug Donahoe, guest.
Kate Donahoe, resident.
okay,
Ken Engelman, River Reflections.
thank you.
Matt McCray, William County.
Okay.
Paz, resident.
Dave Hunter, also a resident.
Sam Swetland, resident.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for attending. First thing we can do is approve the agenda. Even though we need to amend it as we go, there's some things that are probably going to be brought up that aren't on here. So a motion to approve the agenda for June 4th, 2025. Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. And we don't have our, do we have our minutes for last meeting, regular meeting?
Wasn't me?
I emailed the minutes to the members.
Okay, I didn't get them.
Did you get them?
Yep.
Anybody?
I've been,
They were just recent, yeah, today.
today.
Or, I think I emailed them last night, actually.
Oh,
Okay, I've been busy all day, I'm
Yeah, no,
sorry.
that's okay.
Well, we can,
Um,
we're gonna put that off because I haven't read them.
okay.
Yeah, she sent some last night, June 3rd.
Okay, I didn't,
Okay,
I didn't read
so we
you didn't read
can
them, so what, put it off till next
table
meeting
until next
to
week.
read them. So that'll have to go on the agenda for next month. Okay. Public comment. Any public comment?
Yes.
Okay,
You
you got 3 minutes.
I know, you
Okay.
got,
Sorry.
this emailed from my wife,
Just today, I haven't even had a chance to read it.
okay? And I don't know if I should read it out loud or just let you guys read it. It's essentially about,
I kind of read it real quick. I know it's about easements and
right,
how your neighbors are gonna run and all that stuff. I'm not, you can read it to the rest of us if you want, but my quick answer to that is, have you talked to Civil West about the situation? Because that's all I know, that's what it's about.
yes, the quick answer is, we did talk to Civil West, actually, when, whatever the community meeting was, where
The last one they were here.
Matt Waddington was.
Right, correct.
And we said we weren't comfortable with the easement as written,
Okay,
and we haven't heard anything from them. So that's sort of what Sarah was going to talk about.
okay,
But you guys can read that and respond.
okay,
And what I want to talk about is related, but not exactly the same. I feel like, I do have a problem with the easement, but I feel like there are, Civil West is overlooking obvious solutions to problems that exist, the easement being one. But my neighbor Paz is here, and there's a fire hydrant over on his place at the top of the driveway that Civil West is just going to eliminate. And according to your system map, there's also one on Larry Wilcox's place.
there is.
Yeah, and they're completely happy apparently with those just going away. And for me, that's a concern because the one on Paz's place is actually closer to my house than probably even the new ones they're gonna put in. And the easement thing is, the district already has an easement to where they wanna go. And That's an established easement. I don't think it's gonna go away. I'd be surprised if it is. And I don't understand why the district can't just use that easement to run lines to our neighbor's place.
They're the same, right? I mean, it's gonna be the same.
Well, the existing easement is not where Civil West put the new one. It goes down our driveway, they put it on our property line 20 feet out, which is dumb. It runs through a bunch of mature trees and all of that. So it's almost like they've never been on their place.
I think they use Google Earth.
Use what?
Google Earth.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
you can't even see the ground in Google Earth.
I can't really,
So I guess,
yeah, I can't answer.
I guess what I'm asking is that the board contact them, because they're working for you.
Right,
And they clearly don't take me seriously because I haven't heard a word from them since
okay,
I spoke with them at the meeting.
okay. I get your comments down here, I'll contact them and we'll have a meeting with them or something, whatever we have to do.
But I think it's a big concern with those.
No, that's fine, I was just, you need to bring that up, I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, that's why we have the public meeting, so you can come and talk to them, and if they're not responding, then we need to know about it. Because we'll go back to them and go, hey, we have some people here that are concerned about fire hydrant placement and easement placement, and, so yeah, so I'll get back to them and try and get you an answer and get it figured out.
And a tiny piece to this, McBride Road is a county roadway.
Mm-hmm. I think they're aware of that. They were talking about actually running a bigger pipe up that
Let's
road.
spur up that road and they could put meters for everybody up near there on McBride.
I'm not sure what they had in plan, but they changed it.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah,
change,
we're
they change
just-
things all the time, and I'm like, what? I thought no, we're not doing that anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Well, maybe this is a new problem that they've already solved.
I don't know, but we'll take it to them, and
Yeah.
I know Paz,
I appreciate
didn't you
that.
speak to them about the fire hydrant up?
The last time we had a meeting over there,
Yes,
I spoke with, I think it's Matt.
yes, that's correct.
He told me after the meeting he would come up and take a look.
Yeah, did he?
I don't think he ever come up because nobody came to my property.
Okay, because he came to my house.
He didn't even know there was a hydrant up there. And I got the distinctive feeling, all these guys care about is moving the meter. I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you, I don't care if they move the meter to Eugene. I need a hydrant.
Okay,
Because when I applied,
No, that's
when I
fine.
got
I
insurance
agree.
in my property,
Right.
they told me I don't have a fire station. I said, but I got a hydrant. They said you don't have a fire station. So now I have a fire station, but I might have no hydrant.
right.
What's happening? Are we rolling like California? We got a hydrant but no water?
Yeah,
Are we going to just care about the meter so you can get your money? I need a hydrant, bro.
okay, I understand. You know, he came to my house and told me he was coming to your house next. So, I don't know.
I don't know if you saw
I
the
assume- I
hydrant,
assume
I
you
don't know
came
if
up
he
there.
but no one contacted
Okay,
me.
okay,
And Jim, I would reiterate that, because I confronted Matt about where's the hydrant that's by my house, and he was not able to show me on the map
really?
where the existing hydrant is that, I know where it
It's
is.
behind your house, or,
It's
on the other
over
side of the
on,
fence.
it's over on McDougal's property.
Correct.
But, yeah, I agree, they're only focused on the meters, not water
Well-
safety, not, I think it is I mean,
I think it's
I
important.
guess I'm validating as a resident that I don't know what we need to do about it as a board, but I would agree. I mean, I asked Matt at that meeting at the school, I said, can you show me where the hydrant is going, where the current hydrant is, where the new one is going? And he did not. It wasn't on the map.
it's on there. Because they're all so many feet apart. He
But
might-
he wasn't able to show me.
Yeah, he's like, Clinton Cheney is the head engineer on this job,
Mhm.
and Matt's his boss. So he showed up and said Clinton had another arrangement he had to go to, so he didn't come up. So Matt did, and I don't think Matt knows everything that Clinton knows. But he-
Okay.
But they're on there, and they're a code. So wherever the main line is, I believe it's 500 feet apart. I'm not don't quote me on that, but, I think that's what I've been told, is they're 500 feet apart. And we're actually gonna have more meters than we had before,
Are we talking
More
about,
hydrants than we had before, you mean?
yes.
are we talking about the existing hydrants? or
No,
the
new hydrants. Because the existing hydrants don't necessarily follow the main line. That's why they might be eliminated.
Matt told me they wanna put the fire hydrants on the paved road only. Like Elk Creek Road,
Right,
where they're running the line on the meter,
Right.
that's where they wanna put the hydrant. So I asked him, how are you going to access my house? He said, we're gonna run the fire hose through. I said, through where? The forest? Through the 6 acre, through the
yeah,
5 acre?
I don't know, and I can't argue with you, I,
You know?
you
But they have no idea what's happening, but they wanna start to work. They need to get their
okay,
together and then come start working.
I
And that's
understand.
not guessing what's gonna happen. You can't guess this, bro. You need to figure it out. That's why you have.
Well, that's why they have an engineer, and that's why they have a
I
map.
seems as though the engineer doesn't know what's
Okay.
happening.
Okay, I'll have Clinton Cheney call you, and also have him address your issues as well, and try and get some explanation of what's going on, and, I mean, we're here just like you.
Right.
And Paz, I was standing there for that conversation and I heard him
Thank you.
basically say,
Yeah,
oh,
That's
isn't
not
a good
what's
enough,
happening,
it's
bro.
not an
It's a
acceptable
big
way of
project,
saying.
that's people holes you dealing.
yeah, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but, I know that, he, you know, he's kind of he's the boss over the project, but there's a head engineer who's over the project, who knows where everything is.
All right.
So, and his name is Clinton Cheney.
Is he related to Liz?
Pardon me?
Is he related to Liz?
Liz Cheney.
I don't think so.
Good, that's good.
So are they going to have another meeting when they come up here?
Yes,
Okay. And this
probably
big-
several.
Okay, is
So-
that before the work starts?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm gonna talk about that here in a minute. The bidding process went through, and should have happened about 3 weeks ago, but we got pushed out because the project manager assumed that the Three Sisters Meadow could accept all the dirt that's all the spoils
Mhm.
that will come out of the ditches, because they don't put that old dirt back in.
Oh, okay.
They dig trenches, they haul that dirt away, and then they put the line in, and then they fill it with gravel. And then fix the road back to whatever condition it was in prior. So if there was asphalt there, there'll be asphalt on top. If there was gravel, there'll be gravel, so on and so forth. That was one of my questions. Are you gonna repair the roads back to what they were before? You're not just gonna leave a gravel trench, like out here somewhere on,
Where they did it on Rose Street.
yeah, like Blue River Drive, for years, they're just gonna go thunk, 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 thunk. And they said, no, they're gonna re-asphalt the road when they're done.
Okay. Because we weren't at the last meeting when they were up here, because we didn't know about it. I think I was out of town actually.
That wasn't, we didn't call that meeting.
Right.
Oh, okay.
The open house.
Yeah, that was, the county called that meeting.
Oh, okay. No,
We didn't have anything to do with it.
because we haven't heard, our understanding is they're gonna put 3 or 4 meters on our property down on the highway and kind of come up the side of our right of way.
Right,
I haven't seen the easement,
okay.
you know, and I
Part of
was,
that's my fault, because I have a whole stack of them like this.
oh, okay.
Well, that's the thing that I showed you guys, and you weren't happy with it. It was, remember? Yeah, so Jim, I showed them, so they want more information.
Okay,
It's too,
is it pretty vague, just
it's
as a,
super vague, like extremely vague.
I mean, the problem with the easement is there are no restrictions on it.
Mm-hmm,
Basically, show up anytime, do whatever they want
yeah.
on the easement.
so it's construction easement, not,
No, I don't know about the construction easement. I know the easement they showed us.
is it a permanent easement, the one you got?
Yes, it's permanent easement, but that was in keeping because it was getting water lines to Paz and the O'Dowd's house.
Mhm.
But it's way more broad than the existing easement.
Mm-hmm,
Okay,
The existing easement ties it down to you can access the easement for purposes of maintaining and emergency service on the water line, period. which is what it should be.
Mhm.
Their easement just says we can come and go whenever we want.
Hmm. Open-ended,
Yeah,
okay.
When's the next meeting they're planning? Is there a time frame for it?
There isn't, because the next meeting was for once a contractor was awarded the contract, then we would have another open house up here with that contractor, and more people could come and ask more questions, and Civil West would be here, and
Okay, so they'll set it up now that they have a contract.
I'll set it up
Okay.
once that contract is awarded, so
We should know within a couple of weeks, or?
we should know in 2 weeks. So just to bring everybody up to speed on that, this went out for bidding, and then the bidding process was pushed out additional 3 weeks because of the snafu with the Three Sisters Meadows, where the project manager assumed that he could dump 20,000 cubic yards of dirt there and use it for a laydown yard, and he never asked permission, and someone precursed that somehow, or anyway. So it got pushed out 3 weeks. So that led us up to yesterday, and we had a meeting in Eugene at the county works office there, and they take all the bids, and they're all sealed, and they open them up one at a time and take each contractor and see who has the least amount of bid money involved. That's the one that they pick, and then they gotta vet them. So that takes 2 to 3 weeks to vet the contractor, and once we get the contractor on board, then I'll schedule another town hall meeting, and we'll do it at the gymnasium, invite everybody, I'll send letters out, and
Yeah, they
hopefully
come-
your questions will be answered before then, but if they're not, that'd be a good time to say, hey,
yeah.
you know, I mean, if you have a better idea or better solution for what's gonna happen, I think they're open and game to that, but I think Clint Cheney can answer those questions better than Matt Waddington,
Right.
because he's actually the head engineer on the project. So I'll reach out to him tomorrow, and can I share your number?
Yeah.
And I'll read
He's
that.
actually- He's at least got my email. I think he's got my phone number.
Clint does?
Oh, Clint doesn't. No.
Okay, Clint's the guy to talk to.
I was gonna say Matt does.
Yeah, Matt's the head, he's Clint's boss, but he's just kind of overseeing things. He doesn't really have his finger, or, you
It's
know,
not specific.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll try and get some questions for you guys on that. Anything else, public?
Well, I also want to add that the meeting will be in the bill, right? When we send out billing, we'll give notice through that.
We can do that way. Last time I did it separately. I mean, the billing won't be until the 24th of June.
So it'll be a Rainbow
So-
Water District letter.
It has our logo on it.
Okay.
So there's some people
know
who have,
what to look for.
yeah, there's some folks that have, some customers have trust, so we don't have an actual post office box for them.
Right, so they never see it.
Yeah, so I went and hung them on doors. And actually went to their door and hung it on the door. And I think I handed you one.
Mhm.
You're not in a trust, but for some
We just
reason,
wanted to make sure we got it.
I did. So we'll make sure everyone that's in the district gets invited, and, you know, hopefully more people show up. Last time, I think we had 30 people,
Yeah, I think so.
something like that, 30. You know, I was hoping for 40. And I'd like to do it on a Saturday, but they don't work Saturdays, so they want to come up during the week. I think Saturday we'd draw more people maybe. I don't know, it's kind of getting nicer weather now, and people might want to do things on Saturday, but
Yeah.
in the wintertime, I thought Saturday was a good day, but well, we can't do that, we don't work Saturdays. So, but we'll try and rectify these answers during the week. And then, when we have the open house, you can come again and beat them up. I mean, it's a one-time deal, you know, once it's in the ground, it's in the ground. It's gonna be pretty hard to move stuff once it's in, I think.
But they need to come out actually on the ground.
Well, Clint's been out here on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No, I've driven Clint around and said, hey, this is here and that's over there. Like, we looked at Sam's meter that you wanted stubbed up, and that wasn't on the map. See? I mean, we specifically drove to his driveway and I said, yeah, this is his lot over here and he wants stuff up, that's it. And the guy in the back seat writes stuff down. So,
And it didn't make it to the.
it didn't make
plan.
it, didn't make it on the map that he
See,
looked
my
at.
stuff didn't make it on the plan either, so.
Really? Okay, so those are things, I'll call Clint tomorrow and say,
Yeah,
hey,
so somebody's dropping the ball somewhere.
maybe we need to have a special meeting or something, I don't know, and have him come back up and say, hey, you know, people with concerns, come, talk,
Yeah,
okay? Something, I mean, I'm with you guys, mine's pretty cut and dry, so, but I can imagine where some of you guys are at, you know, like, we got 4 meters up there out in the middle of a pasture, you know, and a hydrant up there in the middle of an intersection, and then Larry Wilcox is in his front yard, and I think Herrera's have a fire hydrant in their front yard along with 3 other meters, or 2 other meters besides their own, so it's just where the line used to run and everything has changed, and they're trying to make it better for everybody to put it in the road, and I'm not, whoever's checking the meters isn't up going through the woods and through people's yards, and you know, like today, all day I was repairing a line in the backyard of somebody's house. You know, tearing their lawn up. I'd rather not be doing that. So, I'll get a hold of Clint and see what we can do, and maybe have another meeting or tell him something, okay?
can I just reiterate to make sure I'm
Yeah.
understanding for the minutes?
Sure.
So the 2 take-homes are, we want more detail, what I'm hearing from the community, more detail on the easement, and the plans more accurate. Like, right, is that what I'm?
I would amend on the easement part, I want a more restrictive easement.
A more restrictive easement.
And I want them to answer the question, why they are opposed to using the existing easement.
But why aren't they using the existing easement?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's an easement that runs through there that they could use.
Right?
It's already there. There's already a line running through there.
Yeah, there's a.
What's
an
what's
inch-
the current easement width? You know?
I don't know, we were trying to find that.
Okay.
so
We've
the
got-
existing easement with the county, or with the water district? Sorry for clarification for notes.
Yes, it's a water district easement that, we have it hard copy somewhere on the purchase agreement when we bought the place. And it lists the entire easement from,
And that's also filed at the county, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's also filed, so they should have access, because those records are
Well-
public.
at the last meeting, we gave them the filing date and number of that easement.
Uh-huh.
So if they don't have it, we got serious issues.
Then we need
Yeah,
then we need a new, Civil West off the tape. I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean, I'm sorry, but if you can't look up county records, like,
Oh, they got to figure it out. It's
They
just,
do?
Yeah. Well, let's just give them a chance.
give them a chance?
Yeah. Let's just talk. And I'm sure there's an explanation. So, my question on the easement on the width, I'm wondering, they can't bury that pipe, the new pipe, where the old one is. They're not going to touch the old one.
right.
I'm just trying to clarify that.
But they're also, I mean, we're not gonna grant an easement that doesn't go down that driveway.
Okay.
I mean, that's cut and dry. There's stuff everywhere else.
So they're trying to get you to sign an easement that would be outside of that current easement?
Well, so, I'll give you an example. On
Yeah.
our south property line, we've got a buffer between us and the neighbor that has, all the, mature fir.
Yeah, there's a bunch of big old growth right there, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that
on, I
the
know,
fire didn't kill.
Right.
And they start the easement at the property line, which is that fence,
Mm-hmm.
and go out 20 feet.
Towards your property, towards your house.
Yeah, it doesn't even, I mean, that's basically the edge of the driveway. And in there is CenturyLink and Spectrum already on that side of the driveway. And I really don't know where the pipe is. But I do know that historically that driveway used to be the access to paths at the O'Dowds.
Mhm.
Or in bad weather, because the driveway used to be impassable in bad weather.
Hmm.
But I was just over there today and on the Homes for Good property now. There's essentially, if you turn in the driveway, it looks like there was a driveway all the way over to McBride.
I can kind of see that when I go up there
You
too.
can see that from the vegetation.
Yeah.
It's all compacted.
Do you see where I marked those valves?
Yeah. It's all compacted, so it doesn't really, you know.
Nothing grows in there, like,
There's blackberries
Yeah.
this high, or on parts of my place that are over my head.
right. Okay, well, let's get back to Civil West and work it out and,
Yeah. Cause Jim, my big question is, cause you remember way back we signed the easement for them to do a survey? So what did they do? This was like the first letter that we got.
yeah.
It
when they
said we
s-
were gonna come out and do the survey.
Yeah, there were some people that were out here evidently last week.
Oh, it was just last week?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't see him, but someone, I can't even recall who told me today or yesterday, somebody told me the surveyors were out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see some surveyors.
So that might help improve their plans if they're, like, I don't know.
Well, I know Clinton has come out here and GPS all the meters that are currently being used and all the valves and all the fire hydrants.
Okay.
And I know he's
But
showing
they
me.
aren't all on the map
Well, that might have been the map that Clint, or that,
that Matt
That Matt
had.
had. I
So
don't
maybe
know.
Matt didn't have an accurate map.
I didn't look
but
I didn't look and see what he had or what he was doing.
So he might not have had an accurate map.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, I know. That's okay.
So we'll get ahold of Clinton and see what he has to say. Jeff Sherman,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Any public comment?
Not the water board.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
So let's
Sorry.
move on.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks. All the community members.
Yep, that's what this is about. Superintendent's report, I'm still about the same as last month, pumping about 100,000 gallons every 2 days. I still need to replace 4 meters. I have those 4 meters. I still need to purchase some meters. I'm kind of waiting on the budget to settle down. I started repairing a leak today that's on our side. That's a mess down there on the river. And I got the parts, by the way.
Yay.
I'll fix it tomorrow in a few minutes. So that's about all I have for the superintendent's report. So we can approve the budget if you have that to put up, or just review.
Yeah, we might, I don't know, we might need more discussion. Sorry, you guys, Zoom people. You're gonna have to look at my mug for a second.
I don't know if there's anybody left on Zoom. Other than us.
Okay. You guys see that? Oh. Let me make it bigger.
There was one thing I forgot to bring up last week that might fall under some kind of miscellaneous cost. And that's would be a separate laptop other than your personals.
Okay, so miscellaneous, we have 1,500, so are you proposing to change
So
that?
yeah, I don't know, it's just discussion. I mean, it's not my decision.
Yeah, I think you guys should have a
Or
warrant.
move it
Like,
up to office expenses, office supplies and expenses.
Yeah.
Or equipment and supplies.
And I don't know, what, $500 for a laptop? I don't know.
I would think, but I don't know, this is just, I'm not a
thinking you
super
probably
tech.
need more than that, probably like 800.
800?
Yeah, if you're gonna get one that's gonna be reasonable enough
Yeah,
to
'cause-
actually run this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good computer, so I don't know why the Zoom's not working, but this is my work computer, so I'm kind of bending the rules. But, so I can't, yeah.
Yeah, no, you need to have,
So,
the district needs to have their own computer and so does the park district,
so
so.
you guys, you're saying 800, Mel? you
Yeah.
think?
Now, would you have to put Word in there?
No,
Or
You
Excel or any
can
extra?
get,
I would just use,
I would just use the Google
yep,
stuff.
I would, I
Because
don't need,
if you have a You can use, like Google Docs and all that.
So the thing would be to have, make sure you have the right ports to connect to.
Correct.
1,050, Shannon.
$1,050?
Yeah.
1050.
Oh, geez, thank you.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
making sure that you have the HDMI and the extra USB.
Let's
Can't
just-
we get a Mac Air for like $1,000? Cause I think a Mac Air would do it, don't you?
Nope.
It wouldn't?
Nope, and Mac, the hard part with Mac is not everybody else that is involved uses Mac products.
So, sorry, I don't at all.
Right,
Oh.
and so then the conversion is a real pain in the rear.
Oh.
So-
Yeah, especially if you go,
Almost everybody else uses something that's either Microsoft,
or Android,
Android, or
or
whatever.
Google.
So, yeah, Google, so
Well,
try.
Google
and-
you can use on anything. Okay, so
Right.
whatever, what we get, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so you think we could get a computer for
Somewhere between
$1,000?
$500 and $800 would probably be
That's what I
reasonable.
figured.
So, cause
So
like my
that's
Lenovo,
conservative, or it'll probably be less than that,
Yeah,
yeah,
hopefully.
yeah, my
Hopefully.
Lenovo was $750,
Okay,
and it's still, and it's 5 years old,
okay.
and it still does better than the one laptop that we have for the district, but the one for the district that we have currently is almost 10 years old.
yeah.
So that's why it doesn't
Pardon me?
run,
Do we need to vote on it?
like, that's why it doesn't run any of this.
We need to vote on the budget.
Well, I was thinking,
Yeah.
this is my thought, is if we have any changes and then vote on all of them.
Yeah, we'll just vote on the entire
Vote
thing.
one time instead of each little, is that
Because
okay?
we've already looked at it, and
Yeah, that's
Sam's our
supposed to
chair,
Just make amendments
Yeah.
and then vote on the budget as a
our
whole.
chair
Right.
budget committee guy.
Thank you, Mel.
Yep.
Yeah, so, did anybody else, have time to review, or, cause
I did most of the initial numbers, you guys
yes,
changed
we
everything else, so, or
did,
changed, added
we
stuff,
made
so I'm
some
not sure.
changes. Is there anything that sticks out to anyone? Any concerns?
No, you see that $200 on there for Lane County tax payments?
Mm-hmm.
That is payments made to the district
That's revenue.
out of the tax pool. Does that sound about right? Just,
It's supposed to be more than that.
Is
Oh,
it?
that's what we did, how
Yeah,
much
it's-
do you think it is?
It's usually more than that, cause it's based on our tax base.
Right.
right, but I just remember Tony saying, hey, we got an $8 check.
Well, that was before houses were rebuilt. That
So,
was when we had, like a deficit.
so has that changed now?
It should, yeah. I need to call, or Shannon can.
Do you have a ballpark?
Call the, no, because I don't know what that figure looked like before the fire. Because I mean, yes, I paid attention to it, but I didn't pay attention to
Yeah,
it.
We
I
can
just-
just put a note,
Because I wasn't the one who was having to put it in the checkbook.
probably,
I just remember Tony saying, oh, we got a check for $8.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to say it's probably, I think it's closer to at least $5,000, but again,
Okay.
I
oh,
don't,
5,000, cause we put 200.
yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. Because I do remember,
Conservative is good.
So we'll put.
I do
how about we
remember
put
part of the
200?
conversation right after the fire was the loss of the money from it, because it's kind of like the fire district went through it, the school district went through it, we all went through that huge dump right after the fire, and then it started coming back like a little bit at a time, but it's only because people were building.
That's based on percentage of property taxes, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so, well,
Yeah.
right, cause like my house now is, I'm paying taxes on my house.
Well, when you look at the county taxes,
Mm-hmm.
there's that banner that's in there that says fire
Mhm.
zone something or other. Is that what that is?
Yeah, and the county assessor can explain it better, like what part we get, like where that revenue comes from.
Okay,
Again, I never had to have him explain it to me because I
Right.
wasn't the one having to pay attention to it.
right.
So, but yeah, we can make that phone call.
So should
Okay.
we just leave it at?
We wanna make
I
sure,
would keep it at 2, and then
Okay.
we can always
And
file
then we can
an
just put-
amendment with
Right.
the state when we figure out the
Okay.
like better.
well, this is our budget, so this is, we don't have to file an amendment, the taxes.
If there's a significant change in income,
Oh.
it has to be filed with the state with an addendum.
Ah, okay.
Because if all of a sudden, instead of you having a $2,000 line item for your budget, you now have a $40,000 line item,
So
you
what do they
have to
consider
file a
sig-
resolution
What-
that says This is why we have this influx, because
What
especially
is,
because we're a
what do we
public entity.
consider significant?
You know, like $500 not significant. 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 significant.
Okay,
So, but you just have to write a resolution for it and explain why you all of a sudden have this thing, and
okay,
just make sure it's filed.
okay.
So
We thought,
it's not great. It's not like, oh my god, scary.
no.
You just have to make sure it's done.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? This was estimated, everybody still agree that's
Yeah, that still should be.
estimated?
Yeah. It may be a little bit more because of interest, but
Okay, and this is what we have in checking, this is what we have in savings. So right now we have a surplus, so that is very good news. And then also, Jim, I did add this, the infrastructure upgrades, replacing water system, is that accurate? 10, it's 10 million or 9 million?
That's,
I've heard like 5 different numbers.
it's all
Matt?
over the place. I'm hearing,
I've literally heard that like
well, now we're at
so,
6.
huh?
We're at 6 million.
For replacing the water?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
what I'm telling you.
It should be at least 9.
and if Matt can maybe at least give
Matt?
an estimate, Matt McCray, check that.
Yeah,
A little bit.
the number I heard was 9, but I'm not sure exactly what that includes. I will take a look.
I've heard 9, I've heard 12, I've
Well-
never heard 6.
Okay, well, this is where I get my information from, the bid opening yesterday. That's what the contractor's bid was, 6,400,000. But that doesn't include any contingency costs, you know.
Well, that
but-
doesn't include the Civil West cost.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Oh,
No,
it does? No.
no,
No, that's just their.
I don't think you really should put that in there, because it's really not part of, we don't have that money. The county has that money.
Right, and we don't have to track it.
We don't,
Oh, we
yeah.
don't have to track it?
No, it's not our money.
It's not our, we're making them, that's why they're doing it. So
Okay.
they can track all of it.
So.
So that money was granted to the county to get infrastructure replaced in Blue River.
Okay. So get rid of that
So
altogether.
it's not really in our pocket,
Okay,
Mhm.
so take that off of our budget.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
all right.
Because it's all over the place. I mean, like I said, you know, there was 15 million to begin with. Part of it went to sanitation, part of it went to water, the new water, fresh water system. Now it went up for bid. The engineers put a number on it, it was 8 million. The project manager put on 9 million because he wanted extra money in case for overruns.
Mhm.
And then the bid comes in at 6 million. So
Well, you just told me 7 million. 6,900,000.
6,400,000.
Okay,
But that's without any contingencies and no overruns and no extra money on top in case we hit a rock.
You mean when we hit a rock?
okay, so this
Yeah,
is, so,
a big rock.
and I'm gonna just be, this is a community member hat, so the terrain here is very steep, very unpredictable.
Well, they know.
Very rocky,
Mhm.
and,
So, without saying too much, the lowest bidder is a local company.
okay.
They're not from Timbuktu and they don't know anything about,
That's perfect.
They dug the dirt.
Huh?
they've dug here
So
before.
they know the dirt, okay. Okay, sorry, that was digressed. I have a motion to approve this budget for 25-26.
Okay, and we have our budget committee foreman here that
Oh,
oversaw
sorry.
the committee. So,
Yeah.
you approve it?
Do you have any
Yeah, I
concerns?
think that
Does it look like what we talked about?
it looked like everything we talked about.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
So I've got a question about process here, because I've talked to you guys before about publication of notices. And normally, with the 2 fire districts in the school, they'll post a notice of a budget hearing, which is what I think I'm sitting in right now for discussions. But before you do those discussions, you're supposed to invite the public to that meeting.
We had a budget hearing last week.
Yeah, but I didn't see it.
It was posted on our
It was on the
Facebook page,
website.
and it was posted on our website, on our regular website.
Okay, well, check about what the requirements are for the notice.
Oh,
That's what we were told to do from the SDAO.
yeah, he told it, we
Yeah, we-
scheduled a meeting,
We gave
we scheduled a meeting like,
9 days
I don't know, a
out.
couple weeks before.
Yeah, it was at least 9 days, wasn't it?
Okay, and then if that was taken care of, the next thing you need to do is post that budget before you vote on it, so the public can come in and comment on that document.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
let's not approve it yet. So
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
motion that we post the budget on the website. So motion for posting, I don't think you can. So a motion to
I'm
post
just doing what
it.
I'm just doing what I
We're
was
gonna
told to
post it
do.
for the public, and then we'll vote on it next meeting, then that will make us behind the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, we're posting it, we had it up last.
Oh, but we
week.
had it posted for the public,
But the final figures are what the public gets to comment on.
right, okay.
Since we've changed, we've
Was there
amended it now.
any comment?
Since you've
Well, they
amended
have to
it.
be invited to comment.
Oh,
And on all the budget committee, right, like,
This is all of the public.
all of the public.
yeah.
Okay, so does that make sense? I'll motion to post this budget on the website.
well, then we're behind.
This has to be filed before the end of the month.
It just has to be filed before July 31st,
So we'll have to
June
do
31st.
another meeting to,
So then we'll need
Approve
to
it.
schedule another budget committee meeting.
Another special meeting.
Yes, another special meeting. Okay, so I'm gonna, can I motion two things at once? So I'm gonna
No,
motion,
motion one thing at a time.
okay, I'm gonna motion to post this.
Okay? I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Melanie, you're familiar with this budget stuff. Does that sound correct?
And then I'm gonna motion to have another special meeting to approve the budget in 2 weeks.
It just has to be posted for,
Ken? If
For
we,
at
if
least
we have
7
another
days.
budget committee meeting in
Yeah, I
2
think the
weeks.
limit is like 10 days,
yeah.
so 2 weeks would be fine.
2 weeks, so not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday,
does that work with Sam?
oh, Sam.
When we get to June.
That's right, you are our committee chair.
You're getting drugged along.
Sam's our budget committee
Yeah,
chair.
it's the 18th.
18th?
Ken will give you a ride.
He'll swing in and pick you up, Sam.
June 18th?
Well, let's make sure Sam, because he's our budget committee chair, so
Yeah.
he kind of needs to be there.
So, it can be as little as 5 days also.
That wouldn't work for me.
18th works for me.
18th works?
But it has to be, and it doesn't have to be posted in the newspaper, but it can be.
Okay. And then,
And not
there's
less than
one
10 days
little
before.
tiny sticker, we need to make sure this meeting's available, or this room's available, but, so that could postpone it, but, so I motion that we schedule the meeting as long as the room's available.
For the 18th.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll second that. June 18th.
Put it in the calendar.
School's out.
And if you have to wiggle it one day or another because someone's in here, then Melanie, do you have any school district meetings coming up?
Oh, wait.
Sometimes the library, or sometimes they'll,
We might have to,
Third, it's the third Wednesday, so that will be their,
that is the third
that's their
Wednesday.
school, that's their school board meeting next.
Okay.
But we could do it in the.
Library.
In the library.
will they let it, is that
Oh,
okay?
yeah, we just have to,
Okay.
when we fill out the facility form, just ask for the high school library
Okay,
and ask for, the owl and the projector. And they'll get it all set up in there for you.
okay.
And we've done that before.
Okay, so we'll have it in the high school, Mackenzie High School Library on the 18th at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
We need a vote.
Yeah, it was like 1, 2, 3. That's how I count, and because my fire board meeting is that Monday, so.
Okay.
We need a
Need a
vote, Jim.
vote?
So we voting? motion, so I second it. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, so is that it for the budget?
Lisa, thank you, Ken, for your input.
Yeah,
Thanks, Melanie and Jen.
I was going off the SDAO of Oregon guidance and thought we were following protocol.
We'll get it.
Good job,
So-
everybody.
Next part of business is, the new Blue River Community Water System moving forward. How's that?
That's what everybody wants to know about.
right, the RFP obviously came.
So we'll get ahold of Clint Cheney and discuss that and get him out here and get things straightened out the way we want it. Because it's our water system and we need to make it work for everybody. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is this I think this is June 4th. Oh, we're
Maybe
just-
on the back. Still decided.
We're just reiterating some follow-up stuff from meetings gone by.
Mhm.
So, training, for board members, that's something to talk about with, Mark Knudsen. We'll get him out here on that. And, a letter from Nancy Bain sent out to Commissioner Heather Buck and other local reps follow-up.
I left that meeting, so I don't know if you guys continued to talk about it.
That's why I got follow-up on here. So, that's still lingering, not done.
I think I'm probably one of the only people that still has access, or that has access to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Shannon and I can sit down and look at it and get it sometime.
okay. The Three Sisters Meadow MOU, you went to that meeting, right?
Yeah, and so they reiterated, they said it's just, to form a committee to vote, what's he say here? Reminder that just gives the three sister partners decision-making powers, but does not make any decisions beyond what is contained in the MOU. Future decisions will be voted upon. So they said any financial responsibility. I told them I'd come to you guys and see if we wanted to be a partner.
I motion that
And
we're,
sign the MOU. We talked about having the attorney look at it.
I think that's a good idea,
have the attorney look at it.
because the way I read it, it sounds like if you're on a committee and you're part of one of the partners on the Three Sisters Meadow Partner Group, but there's people who are on there who are not elected officials who can vote outside of their board, well, this board doesn't act like that, right?
Correct.
This
Right.
board is elected officials and we work as a board and not as individuals.
Correct.
So as a person to go to the Three Sisters Meadow Partners meeting and make a vote for the whole board is kind of not kosher, right? I mean, that's my vision of what,
So do we need an attorney to look at it, or do we even want to be a partner, or?
Well-
Well, we have to be a partner. I don't think that we can walk away from being a partner.
I think it's a good idea to be a partner. I mean, I want to be involved in it. I mean, but I think,
I think it's maybe clarify the role of.
just have someone look at it to say, hey, it's okay, because the way I read it, it says, as I am a committee member representing the park, voted in by the board, doesn't mean I should be able to go and make decisions for the board.
Right,
And it doesn't mean that I'm gonna make financial responsibility decisions either for the park. So, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be one, and I don't play one on TV. So, my suggestion is to have someone look at it that knows more than I know,
yeah, so,
and just,
Or what about, there's always this option. What about we say, yes, you can sign it, but you have to go back to them and tell them, this is the only way we can sign it.
it
is
has to have board approval.
Is that we as a board have said that if it is something that is like board contingent. Like if it's a decision that you feel you have to bring back to us, if it's something that you look at, because obviously if we've chosen you and said, Anthony, we trust you on this, and it's I don't want to say BS kind of decision, but if it's something like really simple, like, hey, can we cut the grass today, and it's under committee and the committee has to say yes, you do not need to bring it back to us and be like, can we cut the grass today?
Well, that's.
But if it's a financial decision or something that we're gonna have to try and put money towards, or time, or our voice, or our whatever, and you don't feel comfortable with it, then you can say, I'm not gonna vote on this, I don't feel comfortable with that, I feel like this is a decision that has to be made by my entire board.
And they were saying that. They were saying that's what we could do.
But see, they also have it in their rules or bylaws that it doesn't take, the majority of the committee can vote.
Right, well, which the reality is that can happen here.
Right.
So, you know, the fact is that if 3 out of 5 of us say, this is what we want, the other 2 are SOL if they don't agree with it.
Right.
So the fact is that of those 14 partners, if 8 of them,
8 of them.
12.
well, 12, okay, so if 7 of them,
But I think they rolled it down to 8.
yeah,
But you can, Ken,
I think it's,
you're on
because
that.
it's majority
I
plus
didn't go to the
1.
last meeting.
Okay.
So if,
Yeah, 8, yeah.
so if 8 of them say, this is what we want, the other 4 they don't have a voice. I mean,
Right.
they do, but they've agreed that by consensus,
Right, they
that
talked
they
about it.
will say, okay, we agree with you. Or we may not agree with you, but we're gonna go with what you said.
I
So,
agree to that, but
It's not,
there's still some verbiage in there that says, we'll ensure,
it's not a bad idea to run it by our
well,
lawyer.
but that's gonna cost us.
yeah.
That's gonna cost us $150
$150.
just to hand her the paperwork
True.
for us to, because he's an individual, he's a person, he can say, no, I'm not gonna vote on this.
Okay.
Well, that's sort of what you just said, Melanie, is what they said in the meeting, was, you know, they can always outvote you, but none of their boards allow them to vote for financial
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
decisions, so that's how they saw it.
Because not one of their boards, as far as I'm configured, because I know most of the boards that most of those folks are on, Mackenzie Valley Wellness, Mackenzie, any of the
The library.
any of those other ones, none of those boards are going to allow a single member to be like, sure, we can spend 10 grand, that's great, sounds perfect.
They have limitations on spending.
Right, it's like $300 or $400 for a single person
Yeah.
to get to devote that money. So that's the reality, is if he doesn't feel comfortable, or whoever it is at the time, does not feel comfortable making that unilateral decision, they simply say no. And
Right.
if the rest of the group is like, well, we're sorry, we're not gonna hold off until you can go to another board meeting or whatever, then they were gonna make that choice anyways. And if there were enough of them that were gonna make that choice, there's nothing that any one of us as a representative is gonna do to change that.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's,
Well, okay, well, go ahead. You were gonna say something, Anthony.
Well, yeah, I mean, how much is the attorney and how much is the, you know?
Yeah. Well, I
Risk.
motion that,
Risk.
What's the liability?
so I
with that?
motion, there's not really much liability, I don't think, is there?
no,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
What if they get a grant and the grant's, $10 million and somebody gets, 8 to 15% of administrative costs, how much is that? And then they don't have the money, so then they say, well, Park, you signed up for it. Water
it'll
district, you
never be
signed.
that way.
Well, I don't know, I can't say that.
Well, no, I can, because
I
I've been
can't.
involved in a lot of that
Okay.
stuff. It'll never be that way. If
I'm
there's an
just saying.
administrative cost worked into the grant, Matt, you wanna help me out here? Because you've done grants. I'm tagging you. If there's an administrative thing worked into that grant, that's already figured into the cost. It is part of the grant. They've already figured out who's gonna do the administration of the grant, they've
Okay.
already figured out where that money's coming from, so they will never tag one of those 14 partners and say,
So-
you now have to come up with $1 million.
So why do they have that in the verbiage where it says, I will ensure to?
They're asking you, if you have the time, if you have the capacity, to be able to go help solicit grants. To say, hey, there's this grant that's available, can you sit down and help us write this? Can you
That
sit
isn't how I
down?
read it.
Well, but that's the way, from what I can understand from the conversation that happened with Clinton, or with Cliff, And with whoever was here that one night, that's what that verbiage is.
Yeah, that's what they're saying too. And Cliff says the same thing, and they did talk about the grant that way. We did talk on the
I
grant.
have a question, Andy, you said do all of us need to sign it? Or
No,
just the
you're our
representative.
representative,
Yeah,
okay.
but I
Yeah.
wouldn't be
So I'm-
making any.
Okay, so I
financials.
motion that Anthony sign it.
I'll second.
Ooh.
Want to vote on it?
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain,
Me too, I abstain you,
Abstain.
because I don't know.
because I don't know either. Just because I don't know.
Technically, since you're signing, I mean, not that it benefits you at all.
Yeah,
I mean, there was another committee member that resisted too, and because he's somewhat of an elected official too on the school board, so. And every time I brought it up about the verbiage, their lawyer changed it
In the MOU?
in the MOU.
It's because they were, from what I can understand, they were trying to make it so that everybody felt more comfortable. Because there were whatever questions, but the reality is they cannot ask any entity to dedicate money, especially not from any kind of
Well,
public funding.
I mean, make sure, I guess, well, I mean, we already voted.
yeah.
You voted?
We already voted.
3-2.
There will not be any, they cannot and will not ask any of the agencies, any of the partners to dedicate their own funding to it.
Right. What I understand is that at the MOU now, we have a representative on that board. Is that correct? Or am I misunderstanding?
That is what that
Yeah.
means.
Okay,
You're correct.
okay. I just wanted to make sure I voted on the right thing. Guess that was kind of hindsight, but thanks.
Well, you just voted for him to sign it.
Right.
Yeah, which makes it part of the partner.
Which makes him,
Because in order for us to be one of the partners, we have to sign the MOU.
yeah, then now we are one of the members of that board.
Yeah, the district water sanitation district.
Mhm.
What we got next?
It was the same thing, Three Sisters Metal Partners, it's kind of answered already. So we purchased secure filing cabinets, 4 of them, and they're in place. I have one, Shannon has 2, and one went to the park. So that covers us on, with SDAO, where we have to have fireproof, waterproof safes with a certain amount of burn time to protect the files. We also need to secure electronic files, but that'll be done when we get a laptop and things go to the cloud and,
Yeah,
I
currently there's
would
a Google
like-
Drive.
I would like all of our electronic records to be stored in the cloud, so they're not.
right, that's why we need to get away from your personal
Right,
devices and go to the water district device.
but I mean, even if the
then-
computer burns or gets
Yeah,
stolen.
no, you send everything to
We'll
the
we'll
cloud.
still have all of our records.
Right.
And that, at least that's my,
No,
Should we vote to buy a computer now then? Have her go buy a computer?
We could.
Yeah.
It's in, well, yeah, we might as well.
Okay.
I'll motion to, Shannon, you want a bird dog that? It's the one you're gonna be using, so
okay,
I'll motion Shannon researches the computer and come back to the next meeting, maybe even a special meeting, and tell us your findings, and then we can vote.
yeah.
I'll
Go
second.
from there.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Am I parked in that guy's spot out there?
Justin? No, you
Okay.
shouldn't be.
Let's see.
No, I think Ken is.
Rainbow Water District, new and existing IGA contract follow-up. We really haven't had any time to look at that. I'm still getting information from Rainbow on, they know we have a bunch of new members. They would like the new members to come and visit their facility and tour it if we like. In numbers of 2 or even 3, they can facilitate us as a board. If more than 2 show up, there's a quorum. So it might be a good thing I've done it,
Captain.
You know, might be a good thing to do, but we can discuss that at another time. It's not a high priority.
Well, but aren't they pushing us for a new contract?
They are pushing us for a new contract, but they're kind of soft pedaling it a little bit now and.
We have time.
How much,
We have time.
how much time?
Yeah, it's not, I talked to Jamie, it doesn't seem to be pressing at the moment. So I think these things with getting our budget and getting the board kind of cohesive and,
So Anthony, have you done that? So it's really Anthony and I that need to
right,
reach out. So Anthony and I should, so an action item would be, we should schedule a time to, it
yeah.
doesn't have to be together, but we could go together, but.
It doesn't matter, we'd probably together be better because they can kill two birds with one stone and
Okay,
instead of doing it twice and we could even wait till after the election, find out who's all,
Yeah, I think-
Oh, that might be a good idea,
Better
after
idea.
July 1st.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it
That's
all
a
depends
really
on their
good idea.
schedule and, you know, they might not have any time. I know they've been busy doing things right now too.
He's on the board.
right, because this, right now, we're operating interim, after July 1st, it might change a little, I mean.
Correct,
Oh, well, yeah, because they certified by the 15th or the 20th.
27th or something
Yeah,
like that.
because Anthony and I are interim members, right, until,
Until it's certified.
yeah. But I mean, we're appointed interim, I guess,
Right.
technically, right?
Until
Oh.
July 1st.
Right.
And Jim should get the email and you'll see the paper copy come.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there were some write-ins, so
Yeah, and I've contacted them and that doesn't come out until.
it won't come out until July
till-
1st.
No, they don't even tell the chairman.
No,
Yeah.
because they have to contact, I don't know if you're familiar with how write-ins work, so they have to contact the person that was written in, ask the person if they want to actually serve.
Right,
Yeah.
And
Okay.
have them sign a paper that says,
They
yes,
gotta-
I want this job.
Make
yeah,
sure they get all the ballots in and.
right.
you
And that
know,
totally makes sense,
Verify
because
everything.
why do that now, and then in July 1st, it might be other people. Perfect. Okay. Next.
Discuss taking back billing responsibilities, that's a follow-up question as well.
Yeah. I think that that'll probably be one of those that we're gonna need to wait until
Till the,
after we have the election finished.
yeah,
Mhm.
and the whole thing, yeah, there's a lot of work to do there.
But we could
No,
start,
that's something way down the road anyway.
we could start researching it though, and like,
I think that's something down the road, I mean,
yeah,
you know, we don't need to, they've been handling that now for 3 years and they're doing a good job and all that stuff. It's
Well, I
just-
think that that's gonna be a conversation that probably is gonna end to include Jody.
Yeah,
As far as researching, see what amount of time gets spent,
Yeah.
what the actual duties look like. Because when it got handed over to Jody and Rainbow Water District, it was because it was so labor intensive for the person that was doing it prior. And the reason that it got handed over to Jody was because Jody already does it for their district and 2 other smaller water districts and is already dedicating 8 hours or whatever, you know what I mean, or 10 hours a month to just doing that for the other districts. So it made more sense and was more cost effective, so.
yeah, their
Okay.
concern right now is, we really don't have a contract.
Right.
Because it was a phone call and an email from a board member who pretty much set it up and so we're kind of operating without a contract with them.
okay,
And I think they want a contract,
that makes sense.
that makes sense.
Yes, it
And,
does.
Which totally makes sense.
yeah,
I just
and,
want something.
you know, they're charging us for things that we might not necessarily need or want.
Right. So we just need to, yeah.
Well, if
That's
we
it.
can skinny it up too, like if we can make it a little bit more like lined out and be like, okay, this is what we're gonna pay you for, we're not paying you for that, or this is what,
Right.
you know what I
We
mean?
can negotiate,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
not a
I
problem.
think that
Okay.
they'll be reasonable about it.
So real quick
So,
here,
Can I just really quick for clarification for the notes, so we could make a, kind of a goal to work on that contract, like, I mean, are we talking
We're
3
gonna-
months, 6 months?
I'd say before the end of the year.
Revisit it after the election, right?
So revisit after the election?
yeah, we can continue to put it on the agenda and if we keep shelving it, then we keep shelving it.
Okay,
Just keep checking in on
We
it.
just need to keep it front and not just let it slip out away and,
right,
because I'm talking to Jamie about it and I say, hey, look, we're, you know, there's a lot going on, and he understands, so.
Okay,
But he did want to invite everybody to come down and take a tour and see how things operate and learn how they got started with us, and, you know, they helped out tremendously in the beginning, after the fire.
I really
That's
thought-
what I consider the beginning,
yeah, okay.
the new beginning. So real quick, I met with FEMA on the 22nd of May, and that went real well. They just had a lot of weird questions they didn't know about certain invoices, so they came up and had them on the grounds here and looked at the wells and what we've done, and they pretty much answered all their own questions once they got there and looked around. That was kind of it in a nutshell. So that's moving forward. At some point, they're gonna reach out with documents, we'll sign those, and they'll hand over some money.
Yeah.
Sounds like it'll be wrapped up before the end of the year. I think that's about it. Treasurer's report, financial status, secretary's report, you're probably not even into doing any of that yet.
Well,
You're gonna learn.
I'm gonna, yeah,
We're almost ready
We're
to be
almost
able to
ready.
give you a good financial thing.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
week we should have, where did that note?
so treasurer's report, secretary's report are, in infancy. Is that a good way to put it?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Soon to be mature, I don't know.
We should finally have, the online access stuff figured out.
Well,
by
that's a
the
good
end-
idea, the treasurer's report, let's do that, yeah.
By the end of this week. Arturo, the gentleman I finally spoke to last week, after 4 months of trying to get all of this figured out, was kind enough to delve in and sit on the phone with me for almost 40 minutes and figured out that the reason that we haven't been able to get online access is not just because there's a restriction on the account, it's because we don't actually have something called single point access, which is the online portal access. So he worked that out, and we should have it by hopefully tomorrow, maybe Friday. I have ticket numbers, they're work ticket numbers for both accounts.
Okay.
And so I need to call. He said don't call before Thursday because it would be a fruitless phone call.
Okay.
But to call tomorrow.
And he's expediting it as it is.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
he put all the exclamation points on it, put it all towards the top, sent
Okay.
it to his supervisor, sent it to that supervisor's supervisor, and was like, why? I said, I've been dealing with this for close to 4 months.
Mhm.
I said, and we signed a bunch of the paperwork with new master service agreements in April. I said, and that was supposed to go through. I said, and then half that didn't go through. I said, and he goes, what? And I said, no, half of it didn't go through. He goes, well, it's all there now. I said, oh, perfect. At least that happened. He said, well, none of that even recorded until somewhere around the second week in May. And I said, oh, okay, well, that explains a few things. And then I said, can you explain to me why nobody was able to tell me what the restrictions were prior to this? And he goes, no, I can't tell you that. He goes, because it's very obvious why the restrictions are on there. He said, because you don't have this whatever access. And I said, okay. And I said, so all they had to do was look and see that it didn't have single point access and yada yada. And he goes, yeah, literally. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, I guess I do have a secretary's report,
Yeah.
I just thought of.
There it is.
So,
Huh?
Okay, let's have it.
I know, I just thought of something. Oh man,
You got 5 minutes.
No, I got 5 minutes, I
You
can
got
do
5
it.
minutes.
Well, so I had a couple things I wanted to kind of propose. I'd like to smooth out, does anyone know, so like when someone puts a comment on our website, does it go to your Outlook? Or go to, not the Outlook? So what I'd like to do eventually is get us all
I think
some kind of,
I think I put it in for
Easier
one of
communication,
the access points for the user on the Streamline for the park is the park Outlook.
okay,
And then I think on the water district, I have to look what I put in there, but I think I may have put the park or the water district
Yeah,
Outlook
good.
also.
Anyway, so I guess this is more of an action item for me that I have a report to you guys to help me be accountable. So I want to work on getting somehow some kind of email system so that we all get the same stuff easily.
Wouldn't be a good time to do it when you get the computer.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, perfect, that is true. And then the other thing was, so Oregon, so it's not the IRS, not the feds, but Oregon keeps sending us, like, cause they keep thinking we have an employee. So I'm gonna start aggressively working on
Okay,
that.
because I
So-
called them too.
And so did I.
So I'm gonna try the
I couldn't
web.
get
Sometimes
any-
web-based stuff works.
Yeah, I couldn't get any,
So, I mean, we got 3 things. We got stuff from the park and water,
yeah, I couldn't get anywhere with them, and they couldn't tell me anything. All they could tell me was that we owe them money.
So we need a contact.
Right, which is an awesome conversation when you're like, but
So I
what do I
guess
owe it to you for?
So I
Yeah.
guess the secretary's report is
Okay.
that's gonna be kind of my action item. I'm
And if
gonna-
they ask you, you know, if you need the chairman or minutes, then we'll
Yeah, yeah,
come back
exactly.
and we can provide all
But
that.
I mean, someone on our board
Awesome.
needs to,
Someone needs to start asking questions, because we've been working on it for a while, and I think at one point we owed them $11,000 or
Yeah, and then
something.
I think the next letter was 15, and then
Yeah.
one of the other ones was, we're gonna do this or that, and we kept calling and nobody could give us any answers.
Yeah, and I asked them when their last conversation with someone from this board went clear back to Tim Herrera.
mhm.
So we don't have an employee, we have a contracted employee. And we don't withhold any taxes, we don't pay social security, we don't pay SAFE.
Yeah, so,
We're getting, you got a letter there from SAFE, and I don't know what that's even.
right, so I guess I
I
should
know
add
that
the
one of
same
those
on there
was, the
too.
safe was an audit for the workman's comp, but the problem is that.
We
We
don't
don't
have.
have
workers.
employees, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
so both the revenue, so Oregon Department of Revenue and SAFE, they're really struggling. They don't believe that we don't have employees, I think. And
Well, I
so,
don't know how that all got started or came back up or
I don't know.
whatever.
I would
But-
find a common person to make sure that we're not communicating.
That's what I was
in
saying,
different-
if that's.
Yeah, go
okay.
ahead, I'm done
I
calling.
mean,
So I'll work on this-
IRS or whoever you're dealing with.
I'll
So you're
work on-
talking to the same person
Right,
over
find
and
one
over.
agent. one
Yeah, so
revenue
you're not
agent.
consistently banging your head with a new person every time you call.
Yeah, so
Oh,
you need to get somebody who has that account for us that's
Yeah.
in charge of that account.
And there may be on, if you look through the letters,
yeah.
there may be one
anyway,
revenue agent that's
Yeah,
consistent.
because I talked to just an agent that was at a call center, and he's
Okay.
like, well, this is what I'm seeing on my screen.
And then
And
one
I'm like,
last
It
thing.
looks like you have an employee. I'm like, no, you don't have an employee.
Yeah, 1
Do you
minute.
want me to bring that? The one, and the other thing was, we need to pick a CPA. And were we gonna go off the ones Mark gave us?
We don't have to.
Okay. Do you want me to
You know, I
start
reached
working
out
on
to
it?
some, and, you know, I called 5 of them, and I think one called me back.
Yeah.
So,
Problem with small districts.
So those will
With
be
small
my,
district CPAs is that, like, because we had the same problem finding one for the fire department for Upper McKenzie.
So that'll
Because they're
be-
all overwhelmed with small districts, and there's only a few of them that can handle them.
so those will be Shannon's 3 action items, or
Okay.
the
I have one
revenue,
number.
safe,
I have one number you
and
can
finding
call.
a CPA or researching.
Yeah, research it and recommend one for us. and-
Yeah, I'm not.
I think what you're gonna find is they're gonna wanna do wanna know what they have to deal with, and then they'll give us a proposal.
Right.
So they'll say, well, how much income do you have, and how much out, whatever, you know, whatever their questions are. And then they'll come back with a proposal and say, well, we can take care of your books for X amount, then we have to vote on it.
Yeah.
Well, we have a bookkeeper, right?
Right,
Yeah, ABTS.
Yeah, so
So
I think we
it's-
should keep the same, at least far as I'm
we
concerned.
can keep the same bookkeeper,
But we need a CPA.
that does them once a year, that
Yeah,
does the
because
taxes.
they'll do the audit and the
Right.
taxes and any of the tax stuff that we have to
Right.
do.
So I got one number, one guy called back, so
Okay.
I got that number, I'll give
Might
it
as
to
well
you.
call them.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, that was all for the
Okay,
secretary.
so I'm gonna motion we adjourn this meeting.
I'll
Anything
second.
else good for the order?
I'll second.
And is there, yeah, nope, I don't think there's anything.
Okay, all in favor of adjourn the meeting at 7:16 PM?
Perfect.
And we'll start the park board meeting immediately.